voters can decide tomorrow.
An accident in Tulsa involving an ambulance, plus Gary Shore has the weather, and Al Jerkins takes a look at sports.
That's all next on News Center 2 at 6 o'clock.
Live from northeastern Oklahoma's News Center, Jerry Weber, Beth Ringel, meteorologist Gary Shore, and sports director Al Jerkins. This is News Center 2.
Good evening, everyone. A tragedy on a Tulsa street just about an hour ago.
An IMSA ambulance has overturned, trapping a patient inside. News Center 2's Heidi Browning is on the scene. Heidi, any word yet on the condition of the patient?
Well, we have had reports at this time, Jerry, that the patient in the ambulance has died. Now, that's not confirmed, and they're not sure if that is the case, whether or not the person died from injuries from the accident or from the heart attack, which is why they were picked up in the first place. Apparently, what happened was that an ambulance did pick up a patient and was heading northbound on Yale when a car coming off the Skelly bypass here at a high rate of speed hit the ambulance. Apparently, the ambulance then flipped over the car and landed on its side. The victim, as we say, we're not positive yet on that condition, but we have been told that the victim of the heart attack has died. As far as the two ambulance workers, their conditions are good at this time. They were taken to St. John Hospital. One had a neck brace on at the time that they left here. Now, the driver of the other car involved apparently blacked out after the accident, but is okay now. Jerry?
Okay, Heidi, thank you for that report. Wanted high school graduates to substitute for Tulsa teachers.
The district is short of help when it comes to fill-in teachers. So much so, for the first time, school officials are lowering educational requirements to attract more substitute teachers. News Center 2's Shannon Patterson visited with several classrooms today. And Shannon, what kind of changes do you think we'll see?
Well, the substitute teachers sitting behind the desk no longer have to have a college degree or any college hours, only a high school diploma. Now, it's the latest attempt by the Tulsa School District to sign up even more part-time help. But until Tulsa can pay more, part-time teachers are going to look elsewhere.
Is there anyone here that remembers my name? I was here a week or two ago.
Miss Mercy.
Yes, Mrs. Mercy is my name, and I'm your substitute teacher today, since you're teaching.
Sharon Mercy teaches full-time as a substitute teacher, going from school to school. Mercy is certified, but makes only half of what other teachers earn because she's considered part-time.
Substitutes don't get paid quite as much in Tulsa as they do in some of the surrounding areas. But I don't want to drive that much farther, so I stay, to the schools rather close around me.
When it comes to substitute pay, Tulsa falls to the bottom of the list, along with Jinx and Sapulpa. All three pay only $40 a day. Broken Arrow and Owasso pay a few dollars more, followed by Sand Springs. Oklahoma City pays the most, $50 a day.
Carol, this is Angie in the substitute office. Would you be available to do an afternoon class today?
Low salaries in Tulsa send substitute teachers out of town looking for work. That leaves the schools scrambling to fill 200 spots every day.
We just keep working till we find a sub. It's a little bit hard after 9 o'clock, though, because everybody has something to do.
All right,
Excuse me.
That's great. Good job.
With a shortage, Tulsa schools are hiring more uncertified teachers to fill in. Other cases are worse.
What would happen if this fish started diving and couldn't stop?
This science teacher sometimes teaches 2 classes at once.
If I'm covering for another teacher, I don't want it to be a babysitting situation for the children. They've got to have some kind of instruction.
Every child deserves a certificated person in that classroom. That's why you hire a teacher in the first place. You need that teacher in the classroom.
Now, Beth, regardless of whether you have a high school diploma or a college degree, the school carefully screens all applicants. And I might add that the non-certified teachers make even less money than the certified. Certified means that you've met certain college requirements and have passed a state test.
Well, the Tulsa School District is so financially strapped, probably a pay raise for substitute teachers is, what, very slim?
Very much so. They have not been able to give the full-time teachers any pay raises in the last couple of years, besides even considering giving part-time help more money.
And we do need them. Thanks. American Airlines is being sued by its transport workers union. Late today, union officials accused American of trying to coerce and intimidate employees into accepting the company's latest contract offer. The union is asking for a temporary restraining order. A decision is expected tomorrow.
Fixing Tulsa's streets will cost a lot of money, but city taxpayers will get a chance to decide just how much of that work they want done. Early estimates place a proposed bond issue at $109 million. That works out to about $72 a year in extra taxes on a $60,000 home. Mayor Roger Randall calls that money an investment in the future.
If we don't spend dollars on street repair now and street investments now, we're going to end up paying more later. That doesn't make good business sense, and it doesn't save dollars the way we need to save them, both for the city government and for Tulsa taxpayers.
City officials will meet with the public tonight at 7 o'clock at the East Side Police Station at 11th Street and Highway 169. City commissioners will decide when to call for an election on the bond issue after the public hearings.
And Jerry, voters will go to the polls tomorrow to decide how long legislative sessions will be. State Question 620 is the only amendment on the ballot. If it passes, it will mean shorter legislative sessions. Governor Bellman is traveling around the state trying to drum up support for the bill. He made Tulsa his first stop. News Center 2's Alice Hargrove has more.
This pack of paper I have here is the reason, really, for this petition getting started. This represents the bills that were passed after 5 o'clock on the last day of the fiscal year in 1988.
According to Governor Bellman, each year billions of dollars is late getting to state agencies because legislators waste so much time getting on with state business. He says State Question 620 will change that.
Because it will, in effect, shorten or compress the length of the legislative sessions from 6 months to 4 months, although the legislators, if they choose to do so, can still use the 90 days that are presently allowed by the Constitution.
If the measure passes, the legislative session will begin the first Monday in February and end the last Friday in May. In that 4 months period, lawmakers must work 90 days, but no matter what, they have to be done by the end of May. Right now, they work 90 days starting in January, but they can take breaks whenever they want, and oftentimes those breaks wind up dragging the session well into summer.
Well, we agree that there's a problem with legislators having to consider too many bills in too short amount of time at the end of a session, but we think this is just going to aggravate that problem.
The League of Women Voters says the deadline is not necessary. They say lawmakers should have whatever time they need, and voters aren't sure it will help either.
I think they're always just going to argue a lot about it, and I don't know that there is an answer.
I don't think it'll speed them up at all. I think it'll just run a lot of things through there halfway, and we'll get a half a performance for our money is basically what we'll get instead of allowing them to do their job like it should be done.
Alice Hargrove, News Center 2.
It will be up to voters to decide how things should be done tomorrow. If the bill passes, legislators could still go into special sessions if and when they decide it's necessary.
It's a tough business running a political race.
Imagine how tough it would be to run against your next-door neighbor. Scott Thompson has that story coming up next. Gary?
And after a lot of wild and crazy weather, things are settling down a little bit. I'll be back with the forecast for you right after this.
There's nothing more exciting than a fast break. To Pizza Hut for a great supreme deal where exceptional leaping ability and blazing speed both come into play in pursuit of Pizza Hut's Supreme Pizza loaded with 6 mouth-watering toppings. Now get 1 medium for $8.99 or better yet 2 for just $4 more. And that's a deal worth running out for.
Pizza Hut, making it great. I shopped for hours today, trying to find something to wear for my husband's birthday party tonight. The only thing I found was a parking ticket on my windshield. Then I stopped at Mays to pick up my prescription, and I found cosmetics, perfume, everything I needed to feel glamorous for tonight. Who needs a new dress? Mays makes my day.
It's It's March, and your Jeep Eagle dealer is blowing away the competition. Get a great deal on an Eagle Premier, plus extra savings. Get cash back on top of your Eagle Summit deal, and get Jeep savings this big as we set out to break all sales records. There's never been a better time to grab savings like these. But hurry, once these deals stop flying, it's all over till next March.
See your Tulsa Jeep Eagle dealers, where you can expect the best.
The 1989 Tulsa Auto Show, March 16th through the 19th at Expo Center. You'll see classic cars, spectacular displays, prototypes, and factory introductions from major manufacturers. Whether your taste runs to speed, beauty, or luxury, the Tulsa Auto Show has something for you. This Thursday, TV2 offers a $1 discount off all tickets for opening day. Kids under 12 get in free. The 1989 Tulsa Auto Show, the past, the present, and the future.
Gary, we got to talk some more about that pollen count today because it's plumb off of your graph, I noticed as we went into
Yeah,
this.
it's about the highest it's ever been around here, and the big reason for it, of course, is the fact of all the cedar trees to the south of us down in East Texas, and we've had the warm air coming up from the south, and southeast Oklahoma has a lot of them too, and they really have been set in motion by this warm weather that we've had. Now, temperatures are going to be settling down a little bit closer to normal the next couple days, and also a wind shift around to the northwest should help somewhat over the next couple days, but still, we're into that pollen season, and hay fever sufferers, we will be suffering for the next several weeks at least before things begin to improve all around the area. Right now outside, it is a pretty day except for that pollen count. The temperature currently 65 degrees with a 45 dew point. That gives us a relative humidity at 48% and puts the temperature well, just about 20 degrees higher than the dew point. So it's fairly dry, calm winds, and the barometer 29.74, and it's falling. Now, looking at the temperatures around the area, some low 70s still found off to the south and east, 60s to the north and west, but certainly not the wild contrast that we've seen over the last week, just a little bit warmer than normal out there today. And checking the latest satellite shot, we've got some high, thin clouds around. We also have a pretty important storm system up over the northwest, but it looks like it's going to track rapidly across to the north of us so quickly that I don't think there'll be time for a lot of Gulf moisture to return, so there'll really be very slight chances of thunderstorms tomorrow morning as the cool front comes whistling by, and it'll be kind of a weak front at that. As we put the pictures into motion, you can see there is a subtropical jet stream. This thing is usually down in South Texas at this time of the year, but here it is in the middle of March right up over Oklahoma, but it is going to sag southward a little bit the next couple of days, and it's moving kind of quickly. So again, not much time for Gulf moisture. A weak cool front will come whistling by here tomorrow, probably around mid-morning, and then by later in the day, the front will be already down into Louisiana and eastern Arkansas, dry air coming in behind it. So thunderstorm chances will be limited to about 1 in 10 around here tomorrow morning as the front comes through, and maybe a 20 or 30% chance in the southeast corner of the state in the afternoon. Then this low pressure will go sailing off to the east and keep most of the Arctic air up to the north. Since it'll move off so quickly, we'll get kind of a modified Pacific-type high-pressure system, and that should sail in and give us a little cooler weather tomorrow night and into Wednesday before it starts to warm up again. So the details on your forecast. Across the area this evening, pleasant conditions, clear to partly cloudy skies, and the winds shifting around towards the south at 0 to 10 miles an hour. There may be some patchy low clouds by tomorrow morning. Let's call it partly cloudy, a little on the cool side. There is a 10% chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but that's about it. Then you'll notice the wind shift around to the northwest, and it'll start to dry out again. And by tomorrow afternoon, mild, partly cloudy to sunny, and west to northwest winds. It should be very pleasant. Low temperatures tonight are going to be generally from the low 50s in the south to the mid-40s in the north, and I'll go for 49 here in Tulsa. The high tomorrow probably just a hair warmer than today at about 71. Despite the front coming through, the air just behind the front should be mild, but then tomorrow night it'll be cooling down. Looks like it'll get to upper 30s by Wednesday morning. Sunny and 59 or 60s. That's a more seasonable day for Wednesday, but then Thursday and Friday it should warm right back up there. About 68 on Thursday and 74 for Friday. But no major systems moving through, unlike the last 10 days when we've seen just about all the extremes that we could have in an entire year in the state of Oklahoma. So Mother Nature's calming down a little bit, except for that pollen count.
A week ago today, snow was belly deep to a camel out here. And
yep, it's pretty wild. There's not too many places on the planet that see this type of change.
You're right. Thanks, Gary. Still, I have the story of a political race that's literally pitting neighbor against neighbor.
And a long-term congressman may throw his hat in the ring for governor. Stay with us.
the V8-powered Lincoln Town Car. It's still the roomiest luxury car sold in America. And that makes it perfect for those really long drives.
Drive Oklahoma proud. See your Oklahoma Lincoln Mercury dealer.
At Club Med, you can challenge yourself any way you'd like. But there is one challenge you should take before you go. The Diet Pepsi Challenge. Not only will you see why more people prefer the taste of Diet Pepsi to Diet Coke, you'll also see how you could win a free trip to Club Med from Diet Pepsi. And challenge yourself any way you'd like. Enter at your challenge booth or Diet Pepsi display.
Now at J. Brophy & Sons Pennsylvania House Gallery, save 40% on the solid wood styling of every Pennsylvania House collection, including this 18th century solid cherry bedroom in a rich hand-rubbed cherry finish, only $21.67. Save 40% on Pennsylvania House sofas, love seats, and chairs. Hundreds of 8-way hand-tied designer styles in over 800 fabrics as low as $7.99. Register to win a pair of Bradington Young leather recliners. Now at J. Brophy & Sons, a Pennsylvania House and Thomasville Gallery.
Square meal, square deal. Kentucky Fried Chicken knows how you feel. Maybe dinner, maybe lunch at KFC. It won't cost a bunch. Square deal, $2.29. A great meal. It's really fine. 2 pieces, chicken, biscuit, 2, and mashed potatoes just for you. Square meal, square deal. KFC's great value meal.
Kentucky Fried Chicken Square Deal. 2 tender pieces of delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, and a buttermilk biscuit. Just $2.29.
Square meal, square deal. Cross the road for a tasty meal.
U.S. Congressman Wes Watkins says he might run for governor next year. Watkins has served 6 terms in Washington, and he would seek the Democratic nomination. Watkins says he wants to be sure he has the support of the state's Democrats before he makes the plunge.
Another state race, this one focused on a green country neighborhood. State House District 30 stretches from Mounds to Kiefer to the Tulsa County line. But in tomorrow's election to fill the vacant House seat, all the attention is on a little road in Sapulpa. News Center 2's Scott Thompson reports on a neighborly political battle.
As Democrat Mike Tyler heads out for one last day of campaigning, he knows no matter how persuasive his pitch, he'll never get a yard sign in the lawn next door. That's because Lester Henderson lives there, and Lester is Mike's Republican opponent in tomorrow's state representative race in District 30. Having both candidates as next-door neighbors has thrown Luker Lane into a quandary. Who to vote for, and should you make that support public with a yard sign?
I see the neighbors a whole lot staying out of it. You know, there's a few that will sign both of us either way, but the majority of them are kind of stayed out of it, and they'll do their own thing, and we've all got to live together. And matter of fact, that's a dead-end street.
But a great many neighbors have taken up sides. Those who haven't are being diplomatic.
I notice everybody, almost everybody, has a yard sign out except you. Is that the wise way to go?
Well, they're both real good friends, and I'm not going to get involved in it.
Republican Henderson was stumping for votes in downtown Sapulpa this afternoon. He says he doesn't take offense if neighbors put up his opponent's signs, but he thinks 15 years on Luker Lane has given him the edge.
Well, if you take a tour down Luker Lane, I think probably we've outsigned him, but he's got his share of supporters, too. You got it. Okay.
Both men say Creek County's economy is the biggest campaign concern, but only one of them will be in Oklahoma City working that issue. The other will come back to Luker Lane and work on being neighborly.
Do you guys borrow lawnmowers and power tools and anything like that? Or?
No, we haven't gotten to that, but I'll say this, his wife bakes a mean pecan pie. For state representative. Okay. Sure would appreciate your vote tomorrow.
In Sapulpa, Scott Thompson, News Center 2.
The District 30 seat opened up when Benny Veneta resigned to enter private business. That's going to be interesting to see how that all comes out. Well, the AP College basketball poll is out. And coming up, Al Jerkins talks about area teams and how they did.
And it's time to clean up your act. We'll head to one of the hottest spots in town.
Why are SHONEYS waitresses so fast and so efficient? SHONEYS boot camp.
Drop down and give me 20. No!
At At SHONEYS, we could spend money to put cute little fish in tanks, an attractive plastic fish on the wall, or some darling fish nets on the ceiling. But then we wouldn't be able to put so much fish on your plate.
Beating the Honda Prelude could be a challenge, but look at it this way. This sporty Mazda MX-6 beats it by over $2,500. Its warranty covers you for an additional 14,000 miles. MX-6 has far more room inside. And right now, it comes with $750 cash back from Mazda. How's that for a good reason to make the move to Mazda?
Get a great deal at Pemberton Mazda, Rick Vickers Mazda, and Joe Marina Mazda.
Begin your report, Stanley. You probably think that this is an apple, but it isn't. Not to me and not to IGA. An IGA apple is Washington Extra Fancy, sweet, juicy, red, and crisp, not pulpous. That's a mushy. Compared to IGA, the other guys just don't make the grade. Be picky, shop IGA.
Peachy, Stan.
No, I am relatively certain it is indeed an apple.
Guess what? There's no bathroom on the bus.
Relax.
But diarrhea usually comes back.
Took the Imodium AD, didn't you?
Yeah, but just a little cup.
Perfect.
New Imodium AD often stops diarrhea with one dose, instead of all those spoonfuls you may need of the leading remedy.
I'm in a rest stop.
You coming?
Nope, I'm fine.
New Imodium AD. It can make your first attack of diarrhea your last.
Oh, you didn't have a very good weekend in Kansas City.
No, very uninspiring, I'll say. Arizona holds on to number 1. Oklahoma falls to number 4. They're lucky they didn't drop further as the final regular season poll came out today. Arizona with 46 first-place votes. Georgetown 2, Illinois 3, Oklahoma 4, North Carolina 5. 6 through 10, Missouri, Syracuse, Indiana, Duke, and Michigan. 11 through 15, Seton Hall, Louisville, Stanford, Iowa, UNLV. 16 through 20, Florida State, West Virginia, Ball State, NC State, and Alabama. 21 through 25, Arkansas, LaSalle, St. Mary's of California, Memphis State, and UTEP. Now, 2 Oklahoma representatives were disappointing in the just completed Big 8 tournament in Kansas City. Oklahoma State probably played its worst game of the year Friday against Iowa State. The 19-point loss cost the Pokes an NCAA bid, and they were dropped to an NIT game instead. In fact, one of the team's players, Byron Houston, had a hard time figuring out what the NIT was.
We get to go to the NAIA.
NIT.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll play very hard.
Well, you can tell that our players haven't been thinking very much about the other tournament.
Well, youngsters are allowed to make those kind of mistakes. And the way the Sooners play this weekend, they are extremely lucky to be a number 1 seed. The only reason they are a top seed is because the Big 8 championship game was completed after the NCAA pairings were made. The weekend with the Sooners started with a scare from lowly Colorado Friday, 2 overtimes before eliminating the worst team in the Big 8.
Colorado. And when we step on the court, we don't expect to lose. And whether we go into 5 overtimes, we're going to come out on top because that's the way we think.
And Saturday, it took that last second line drive shot from Tyrone Jones at the end for Oklahoma to pull it out against Iowa State.
Well, see, sometimes I don't put enough arc to it, and sometimes I arc it too much. That time, I didn't arc it at all. I think I jumped higher on that shot than I did on normal shots.
I don't know how it went in, and yesterday at the Kemper in Kansas City, Missouri, outplayed OU in every phase of the game. Mookie Blaylock's performance was off, perhaps still shaky from the previous weekend's problems. Nobody was hitting, though, but OU still managed to get that top seed for the NCAA. The site, Nashville, was not what Billy Tubbs was looking for.
One of these days I'd like to be put close to home. Dallas, Texas is not far down the road, and maybe you're better off not being a number 1 seed. Everybody in our league gets sent to the Midwest region, but Oklahoma, Kansas State went there last year, if you remember. We would like to go to our natural habitat at some time. At a point in time, we were hoping we would go to Dallas. It seemed kind of the natural thing to do.
Well, OU did get some good news. Stacey King was named to the first-team All-America team, and Mookie Wilson named to the second team. We'll have the full list for you tonight at 10. OU will play East Tennessee State Thursday at 2:30 in Nashville. We'll be there for that one. Arkansas will open against high-flying Loyola of Marymount in Indianapolis in their first-round game, and OSU will play Boise State in Stillwater Friday night in the opening of the NIT. Steve Largent was in Seattle today, and he told the folks there what he had been telling folks down here in his hometown Tulsa. He still is undecided whether or not he'll continue his playing career with the Seahawks. He went on to say he wants to wait to see what kind of turn the Seattle's front office takes. The 13-year veteran wants to see what Tom Flores is all about. So, interesting there.
Quite a weekend of basketball.
It was, and it will continue through the next 3 or 4 weeks.
It will. Thanks, Al.
The United States gets its first ever drug czar.
And another success for NASA. National headlines next.
Ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of...
How tall is Big Bird?
12 inches. Bigger than an elephant. A giraffe. Bigger than you guys. This tall. Can I stand on this here?
There's one way to find out how tall Big Bird really is. See him in person. Come to Big Bird's Sesame Street Story, an all-new show from Sesame Street Live.
Bigger than Betty Lou.
March 16th through 19th at the Mabee Center. Tickets on sale at the Mabee Center, Brady Theater, and Gospel Book and Music.
When we finally realized our teenager had a drug problem, we called Children's Medical Center. As parents, we needed information. We needed to turn our worries into real help. We found the help we were looking for, and we found we weren't alone. At CMC, the help was private, it was personal, and it was very professional. At CMC, the good news is, it works.
Children's Medical Center, for more than 60 years, helping kids get better.
This Thursday through Sunday, Expo Square. Tulsa Auto Show 89. See the most incredible automotive exhibition ever. Hundreds of factory models and new introductions surrounding almost 100 vintage and classics. Glimpse the future with prototypes of tomorrow. Automobiles, trucks, and vehicles like you've never seen displayed before. See the past, present, and future. Brought to you by your Tulsa Auto dealers. Tulsa Auto Show 89. This Thursday through Sunday, Expo Square, Tulsa Fairgrounds.
Good night, hon.
Why is it that after a couple of years,
Good night, hon.
Your mattress sags and sags?
Good night, hon.
Because it's not a beauty rest. Our unique barrel-shaped coils of high-carbon steel are pre-compressed to eliminate sag, to give you a firm, comfortable mattress that can't sag, so that your beauty rest
Good night, hon.
will stay as firm as the day
night,
you bought it. Beauty Rest by Simmons. Forever firm.
On sale now at Dickinson Goodman Furniture.
In national headlines today, Discovery climbed into its final orbit after a near-flawless blast-off from Cape Canaveral this morning. Liftoff was delayed 2 hours because of heavy fog. Officials in Arizona say they've found all 15 bodies from an Air Force helicopter crash near Tucson. Military investigators are trying to determine the cause of the accident. And former Education Secretary William Bennett has been sworn in as the nation's first drug czar. President Bush says Bennett has the tough qualities needed to be the top officer in the war on drugs.
If your car is still suffering from last week's snowstorm, be prepared to face long lines to clean off the grit and grime. Over the weekend, hundreds of Tulsans headed for the nearest car wash, and today the lines continued to grow. Some decided to use elbow grease and spare change to get their cars spick and span. Others decided to let the professionals take care of the soap and suds. At one professional car wash, you can pay $5.95 for a wash and vacuum, but if you want more, they've got that too.
Wash, which is a wash vacuum. They add a rust inhibitor, underbody wash, which are two big items that's going good right now with all the salt and the sand.
Mike says on the average they clean about 240 cars a day and go through about 3,000 towels almost every day of the week. You do need to get the salt off, though. You really do. Al?
You know, I knew I was going to do this. I said Mookie Wilson, and I meant Mookie Blaylock, making the second All-America team. And Danny Cox will be missed by the St. Louis Cardinals for a year. The Cardinals will miss the talented pitcher because he's going to have to undergo elbow surgery. Photogs won't miss him, though. Remember what happened in the St. Louis airport last week? Yeah. Well, Danny Cox won't have photographers to mess around with for the next year, at least. Huh?
Okay. Boy, it seems like spring.
It does, and certainly March is definitely a spring-like month in Oklahoma as a rule. Last week will be sort of the exception, it seems like. We're going to see temperatures about 70 or 71 tomorrow, and then the coolest day of the week will be 60, and that'll be Wednesday.
Not too bad. Gary, thank you. The ambulance wreck story we showed you at the top of the news shows the dangers emergency vehicles face every day. We'll see how well Tulsa motorists respond to emergency vehicle runs at 10 on the Nightcast.
And dry conditions in some parts of the Southwest are leading to the largest forest fires those parts have ever seen.
That's our time for the 6 o'clock news. Thank you for being here.
We'll see you back here tonight at 10 o'clock. Good night.
Her son holds the secret of a ruthless killer.